Clarity Pro case study. And I'm here today with someone who's a mindset and business strategist, and she and I have known each other just about a year. And it's actually a little while since she and I have caught up for reasons which we'll go into. And so I've really been looking forward to this conversation, to as much as anything, to catch up with this person and find out what's going on. So I'm going to introduce you to Danielle. Great to have you with us, Lou.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm really excited to be here.
And I'm really pleased to have you here. And the place that I really like to start with this is to ask you to say a little bit about your work as a mindset and business strategist, and also what first sparked your interest in the principles behind clarity.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I work with mainly solo entrepreneurs, and the work that I do is predominantly business strategy. So how do they accelerate in certain areas of business? How do they take what their passion, their idea that they have, and form that into a business model? And when people do that, they tend to come up against all kinds of different internal blocks and obstacles. So it's the combination of, what are the principles behind success and transformation, and what kind of strategies do you need in order to accelerate in different areas. So that's predominantly the work that I do. And of course, that's what led me into the principles, discovering the understanding of the principles, because my work originally was very much based around, let's reprogram your mind and fix and change who you are and be the best version of yourself, and a lot of strategies to change who you are. And I noticed that it would work and clients would get results, but there was always something new that would come up, and there was always another thing, or the original thing would come back, or something else would kind of change. And, they'd have to go through all this mindset work and different tools and techniques again. And I was having some of my own challenges in the area of relationship. And no matter what I tried, I could not seem to kind of grasp what was going on and get a shift around it. Of all the tools and the things that I've studied over the years, I just couldn't figure it out. And I actually read a couple of books, and then I had my own insight, which was actually, funnily enough, I was about to run a group program for 6 clients, and it was all based around fixing and changing your mindset and reprogramming your fears and all of that kind of stuff. And on the Saturday, it was due to start on the Monday, I had an insight of, oh my gosh, you don't need to change all of these fears and reprogram all this stuff, because none of that is actually even real. It's all just a thought-created experience. So, boom. So that was like, oh, wow. And that was my kind of, I think that came from some of the things that I was reading at the time, and then a book that I dived into even further. And that then really led me into the journey of learning more about the 3 principles.
And what's the nature of the work you're doing with clients from a principles perspective? Yeah. Because like you were saying, and it really makes sense to me, Lou, that when someone decides, okay, I'm going to sort my business out, or I'm going to sort out my marketing or my strategy or whatever, what they run up against is all the stuff that's new, different, provokes them, stretches them out of their comfort zone, all that sort of stuff. So I can totally see where being able to do transformational work with people is going to be really, really valuable. What kind of form does that take?
Yeah, so now it's the work that I do with them tends to be much deeper. It's pointing them back to themselves through this understanding, and helping them to see that the answers aren't outside of themselves, that they don't need to fix and change who they are, and they don't need to reprogram all of this stuff in their mind, that they are already whole and good enough and abundant, and to really point them in the direction of seeing that on a deeper level each and every time they kind of get stuck up in thought or in their own mind. And so I find that for me, what happened when I really grasped this understanding, and through the work that I've done with yourself, the way that I would describe it is it really created freedom, true freedom for me, because I was no longer searching outside of myself for the answers. And not only that, I no longer had the belief that I'm not enough, and so I need to be something better or do something better or whatever. And it gave me the freedom to really express and work and create from my true self, from who I really am, to create in the way that I wanted to. And that's very much the work that I do with my clients as well. It's, business creation from the inside out. And it's about saying, actually, let's look at the conditioned self. And when that begins to fall away, what is left is this space of pure potential. And how do you now create from that space? And so it's that pointing inwards, and then some sort of strategies that goes with that as well. But again, it's like it comes from them. It's not from something outside of them they think they need to do in order to create what they want.
I love that. And something you said, Lou, you said when you realized that all those ideas like I'm not enough and that sort of thing, when that fell away, it gave you the freedom to create from the true self. Well, I know for a lot of people listening, that kind of niggly kind of fear of I'm not enough or I'm not good enough or that sort of thing, that's like such a universal, like there's so many, or maybe it's like it takes the form of imposter syndrome or that sort of thing. What was the journey for you from kind of not knowing that to kind of realizing, oh, that's just not who I am. That's just whatever, however you describe it. What did that journey look like?
Yeah, I think, I initially had my first insight really, which was around fears and things not actually being real. And then I would say there's been along my journey, along the way, there were little things that happened, and I had insights, and my understanding would deepen. And I think it was really doing the work that I did over the 12-week program with yourself that I had a couple of game-changing insights that really just started to shift everything and allow me to almost do self-inquiry and question so much of what I was seeing. There was stuff around projection that I realized that I was running all of these different patterns, and actually these things were playing out within me and not outside of me. And I remember the real kind of game changer, if you like, was an insight of, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. There's actually nothing wrong with me. Yeah. And it was like, I didn't realize that I had been carrying around the idea that I'm not enough and there's something wrong with me and there's something that I need to fix. And I think that came from a very young age, really. And
sure.
Carried it, and just that, oh my gosh, there's nothing wrong with me. That was the biggest thing. And I think in that moment as well, it allowed me to see, I had this idea that successful coaches, successful people have everything's figured out all the time. Everything's perfect. So like people like you, Jamie, live in this little bubble and nothing ever goes wrong and you never have bad moods. And in order to be really successful, we have to get to that place. And the insight of, oh, wow, there's nothing wrong with me, led me to actually see that the stuff that does go wrong, the things that I do experience that aren't great, the ups and the downs and all of that stuff called life, that's what makes us who we are. That's what makes us successful. The fact that we get to experience all of that and we still show up and we still choose to do what we're doing. It's not that it's got to be all perfect, because that's just not the human experience at all.
That's so beautiful to see, and I just love the way you talk about that. That sense of realizing there's nothing wrong with you, and you said you'd had that from a young age, that there was something was up, but it gets conditioned into us by our society. Like the whole idea of self-improvement is the idea that we need working on. It's like, oh yeah, there's room for improvement here, and the realization that there's nothing wrong with us in essence, paradoxically, gives us the freedom to create whatever we want to create and develop whatever we want to develop and all that sort of stuff. It's so cool to see. Yeah. So how does it, because my guess is that there was a point where you'd kind of glimpsed this understanding, but you weren't sharing it with your clients or weren't sharing it with other people, and now you are. What did that journey look like? Like, how did you move from seeing this for yourself but not sharing it to sharing it with others?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think I said a little while ago that when I had my first glimpse of this, it was right at the start of doing a group program. And so much of the content that I had in that program, I realized on that Saturday that it just wasn't actually relevant anymore based on what I was now seeing. But there was a big part of me that had no clue how to share this. So, you know, during that program, I stuck with a lot of the original script, but I also went off script quite a bit and started sharing some of the things that I was seeing. And the clients that actually did that program had incredible breakthroughs in their business. And after that, I then had the question of how do I share this? How do I share this stuff? And I found myself in a couple of different communities, and there was almost a bit of fear that had set in, because it was what I experienced was, if I wasn't saying it right, if I wasn't sharing it right, people would judge me. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I had this kind of almost like a mini meltdown, an identity sort of crisis, because I'd gone from being the person who helps you be your best self and fix and change yourself and reprogram, to then seeing this stuff and trying to articulate what I'd seen, and people being like, no, you can't do that. That's like outside in. And
you mustn't say it like that.
Yeah, so that was so it was a tricky journey to navigate, you know. But then again, it was that, I think, through the insights I was having of, you can't get it wrong. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. All this stuff is just made up. Like, as you often say, Jamie, that we're just making it up as we go along. I started to really get that and really grasp that. And through watching people like yourself share, and other teachers, I realized that everybody's different, and what makes us great at what we do is our unique way and our unique ability of sharing. And you know, I think what really struck me was that all of the personal development work I'd been doing over the years was actually taking me further away from myself, and unconsciously thinking that who I am isn't enough. So I need to improve myself because who I am isn't enough. So I'd go and find the right way to do it, or I'd go and find the marketing course or the person that would tell me how to do it. And it was the realization that whenever I've created success in my life, whenever I've created success in my business, it's been when I've done it my way. And it's been when I've allowed myself to let it flow through me and just come out however it comes out, without any shame or fear or judgment around that. So, you know, it's that process that really allowed me to start sharing. And now I just open my mouth and see what comes out half of the time.
Well, it really makes sense to me. And I think a lot of people kind of feel that pressure of, oh, I've got to say it right, or, you know, the principal's police are going to be on me or whatever. And the thing that I'm so clear on, Lou, is I've got nothing to say about what someone else should say or do or anything like that. All I've got to say is, here's how it works, and then do whatever makes sense to you. And it really looks to me like the world needs all our authentic voices in sharing this understanding. It doesn't need a bunch of copies of Jamie or Michael or Sid or Louise. It needs the authentic voice of each one of us to share in our own way, because each one of us is going to resonate with the people that we're here to connect with and serve and support and all that sort of stuff. So I love that. What kind of impact are you seeing with your clients? Like, what kind of results are you seeing when you are sharing this understanding with people?
Yeah, it's amazing, the results. I think, you know, before I was very much focused on, let's look at the one area you're stuck, or the one thing, and we'll focus on that. Whereas what I'm noticing with this understanding is it impacts every area of somebody's life. Like, it really has that ripple effect of inner transformation. And just to see stuff effortlessly falling away, and the actions that my clients have been able to take off the back of that is fantastic. And it is that the difference again is when I'm no longer helping them to reinforce the idea that who they are isn't enough by developing themselves. It's a point back to, oh my God, who I am is beautiful and perfect and whole and complete. And when you touch that space, you know, I call it touching magic. There's moments where we touch that magic spot, and what we create and what we see and our essence and our presence is so powerful. And to see that in a client in front of you, like you literally see them, that the kind of, you see the penny drop, and the moment their eyes light up and they get it, and so the results that they get in financially, in their business, in all areas of their life are just phenomenal. And it's like my work's become so much easier, like so much easier, because one of the other things I realized through this understanding is that I'm not responsible for getting my clients results. And that takes the pressure off, because I was putting so much pressure on myself, thinking that I'm in charge and I'm responsible for getting them this exact result. And it was so much pressure, not just for me, but for the client as well. And it's like, when that's taken off the table, things just seem to happen. There's still action that needs to be taken.
Yeah.
But, things just happen in a beautiful way.
It's another of those paradoxes, isn't it? When you take that pressure off, it actually empowers the client to realize that they can do it for themselves and do what they need to do. It's very cool. One question I had about that, you said that, when you see the penny drop and it starts to unfold, how does it feel having that kind of impact with your clients?
It's phenomenal. It really is. And it is like, this is life-changing stuff. And I remember at the start when I really got this, it was like, oh, I need to tell everybody about this and everyone needs to know it, because, if everyone knew this, the world would change. And it's like, I've still got that, but it's a lot more grounded now.
Yeah.
And just knowing the impact that you have. And the funny thing is, not even just the impact that I'm having with my clients, but even things like just the way I see people in my everyday life is so much different, like so much different. I get to really see the truth of who people are and the innocence in people. And, that has changed so much of my life. And I know the power and the transformation that this understanding has, and being able to share that, being able to give that to people. It's like, people talk about living your purpose and living a life of fulfillment. And for me, it really feels like that. I'm using my life to give more life to others. And it's the most beautiful thing. It really is.
That's so cool. A question I wanted to ask you is that, so you were one of the early members of Clarity Pro, and then your year's subscription expired, and it was just when COVID was hitting, and so you said, oh, I'm going to leave it for now. And then you came back to me maybe a month later and said, actually, can I join? Can I rejoin? And I said, yeah, sure, of course. We'd love to have you. What was going on there? What had you decide you wanted to come and rejoin the community?
Yeah, well, I think I said to you at the time, I wasn't where I was, the space that I was in. I didn't want to consume more content. But I found my voice, and I'm kind of getting used to exercising that and doing it my way, if you like. And so that was my reason for, actually, I'm not kind of, I'm not going to get the full benefits out of Clarity Pro, so I'm going to pause the membership. But then when I reflected, I realized that actually probably the most powerful thing that I've had over the time of being in Clarity Pro is the community that you've built and the connections that I've made there. And that for me really has been priceless. And so when I realized that, I was like, actually, Jamie, can I come back? Because the community is the community side of it, having people that really understand this and are looking in this direction, and not only looking at this understanding, but are wanting to create something in their life and other people's lives, with it, being surrounded by people who are on a similar journey to you, I think is so important. And it has been for me. Some of the connections that I've made from the people that you draw in and the community that you create, they're such lovely people who are all moving in a direction to make a difference. And that was why I wanted to come back. And not only that, I think just being in your presence and learning from you, that's really powerful for me as well. There's been a couple of things that you've said to me along the way that have really shifted things for me, and the support that I've gotten ever since we first connected, that's something that I've found is quite rare for somebody to really have your back and support you and, reach out and be there. So I was like, yeah, let me in, let me back in.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. And Lou, if sort of a weird question, but if you could kind of go back in time and have a word with the you that was just starting to look in this direction and didn't yet know how to share it and that sort of thing, what would you say to her? What message would you give to her?
Oh, tell her to chill out. Totally chill. Because you're gonna get it, you're really gonna get it. And I think I was so eager to get it right, to really understand it and to share it in the right way and do it in the right way. And I didn't realize actually that was probably one of the things that was preventing me from sharing.
All the pressure.
Yeah. So it would be chill out and just trust the process and know that it will click at some point.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And, one of the reasons I'm doing these case studies is because I want people to join Clarity Pro, and I want them to see the amazing people who are already in it and the incredible results that people are getting. So for anyone who's watching this, if you're interested, head over to jamiesmart.com/Clarity Pro. You can check out everything you're going to get when you join. We've got an annual membership or a monthly membership now. If you're interested, we'd love to have you there. Thank you, Lou. It's been great to have you with us. And keep up the amazing work.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Cheers.